when it comes to putting out conservative propaganda, especially here in the UK, we don't, well, we don't yet, shall we say, have something on the level of Fox News like they do in America, though GB News certainly did try, and is still failing at that, by the way. We're probably gonna have to have a pop back and have a look at GB News just to see how they're doing these days. But that's a conversation for another time, I think. But undisputably, the king of conservative propaganda in the country, in the UK, is the Daily Mail. Undisputably. But a close second is the Telegraph, or as it's colloquially known, shall we say, in the UK, the Torygraph. Now, it got its moniker, the Torygraph, because I think there was a poll. I don't know how true it still is, but it was something like 90 or 95% of the Conservative Party read the Telegraph, and like that's their paper of choice. So hence it has the moniker of the Torygraph. And of course, since then, well, even before then, it has been very, very much on that conservative bandwagon. It always has supported conservative moves, conservative policies, been very, very pro-conservative. So whenever the Telegraph goes against or says, goes against like conservative policy or goes against a conservative politician, you know full well something is brewing in the background. And as I was saying for a while, there's a conservative civil war coming. And I think we can say that since the no confidence vote, I think we can fully say there is a Tory civil war in progress. It might be a very secret Tory civil war because I think they've been very successful in keeping it under wraps, but almost certainly behind the scenes, there is a Tory civil war in action. And certainly, as we've said before, when it moves to probably the very brutal and publicly leadership contest that is going to be an absolute not only mudslinging match, but come down to a bare knuckle boxing match, you are going to see it played out and splashed among the papers of the Telegraph. And that is going to be sort of the main paper where it sort of takes place, with columns and PR companies trying to get their pieces in about their candidate, well, trying to put in pieces about another candidate, that the rumors and all sorts of kind of stuff. So definitely watch out for that. But of course, today there is a talk from Keir Starmer. We're going to try and see if I can live stream that, because that'll be quite fun, doing like a live reaction, I think. So watch out for that. I'll try and catch it. I unfortunately haven't given a time when it's going to be. All I know is it's going to be in the evening. So it's just like, thanks at the moment, but I'll let you know if I get a time for that. But yeah, anyway, the Torygraph, or the Telegraph in this case, is actually finally starting to wake up to the realities of what Brexit has done, because we always said you cannot hide the economic impacts of Brexit behind the coronavirus forever. The effects are going to be there for everyone to see. And even if you want to sort of blame them on the pandemic, you can't hide them under the rug forever. And it certainly seems that as more and more we get away from the pandemic, the more and more the effects and the damage this has done to the UK economy becomes more and more obvious, to a point where even the Torygraph and a paper who cheerleaded and championed for Brexit, probably just as hard as like the Daily Mail or even the Daily Express, is going, well, hold on, this is doing economic damage. What's going on here, guys? So let's go dive into this piece from London Economic about a piece from the Telegraph. I was going to do the piece from the Telegraph, but unfortunately that's behind a paywall. And I really do not want to give the Telegraph, shall we say, any of my money, certainly at the moment. So as always, please do remember to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. And of course, down below there is a link to my Patreon page and a motivation called Buy Me a Coffee, where you can buy me a coffee. And as always, thank you very much to all those people who do help and support the channel that way. So here we go. Like I say, this comes from London Economic with the title of "The Telegraph Wakes Up to the Economic Impact of Brexit." The Telegraph has warned of an impending currency crash and potential bankruptcy as Britain comes to terms with its new trading relationship with Europe. The assistant editor, Jeremy Warner, cautioned that the balance of power has shifted between the UK and the EU, creating a deficit that could have serious ramifications for our economic health. He said the flaws of Johnson's oven-ready trade deal with the EU have been cruelly exposed since leaving the single market. Exports to the continent have been hit by a plethora of barriers, others that afflict non-EU members that are not part of the single market. The acute labour shortages that has caused reliance on imports, with a big leap found in imports of finished and even semi-manufactured goods. There is no denying where the balance of power in our new trading relationship with Europe lies. It is predictably with a much larger jurisdiction, the EU, Warner said. So here you have the deputy editor of the Telegraph coming out and saying, look, this isn't going well. The economic power is with the EU. It's not with the UK. And remember, just as they're about to say here, the Brexiteers claimed, and even in the Telegraph, I guarantee you, we could go back and we could look and we could find the claim of, oh, the EU needs us more than we need them, that we have more economic power somehow. I know, but that's Brexit, than the EU, was always a fanciful, ridiculous claim. And now they're starting to actually realize that this has caused damage, that this has damaged UK manufacturing. And one of the big reasons back in the original day, where we joined the beginnings of what were the European Union and the single market, was because British manufacturing and British companies were cut out of the beginnings of that single market customs union, and we were becoming the sick man of Europe. And it was joining that which stopped the decline, very much so, of British manufacturing. Didn't sort it out, of course, didn't stop it, but it certainly, shall we say, lessened the impact. And ultimately, as we've always been saying, that's where we're going to go back today. I fully expect today, when Keir Starmer does his speech, to be talking about we're going to align more with the EU. I fully expect that is what his key speech is going to be today. We're going to align with the EU. We're going to do deals with them in like Erasmus, science, equivalency on like qualifications, etc. And then it comes to a point of, well, if we're going to do all that, why not just be in the single market customs union? And that was always our path back. So that's what I'm expecting today. But anyway, we'll continue with this. So much for the much touted claim that it was because we were more important than they do for us, and that Britain would maintain the whip hand in any ongoing relationship. Small wonder that the government still refuses to commission an economic impact assessment of Brexit. The findings would not reflect well on our exit deal. The Telegraph was, of course, a long-term advocate of Brexit before the referendum, and indeed has maintained its stance up until Britain officially finalised its divorce deal. In Henry Dilquevet's The Inside Story of the Telegraph and Brexit, the author says the newspaper stood up to the establishment elite to reflect the push forward of the views of the silent majority, which led to a Leave majority in 2016. As the editor, Chris Evans, concluded, not only did we have a role in shaping the Eurosceptic debate, one of our columnists is now become the Prime Minister. So our role in all this is significant. We were the guardians of what was, for a long time, a minority position, and in the end, though, it turned out to be the view of the majority. Nice work, chaps. So this is ultimately, I think, what a lot of papers you're going to have to see come to terms with. The continuous damage of the UK economy since Brexit. They're going to be, it's not just the Telegraph that is going to have to come to terms that their quote precious Brexit is not doing what it promised. And just as Theresa May was sacrificed, this is, we always said back during the May years that when Brexit fails, it is going to be put on Theresa May, that she's going to be the reason why Brexit failed. Fast forward to that, we've already just seen it from the Telegraph editor. The reason it is failing is not because of Brexit was a, quote, bad idea. It is failing because of Boris Johnson's bad deal. There is still, at this moment in time, this idea that, oh, if only we could get a good deal. It's Johnson and his bad deal that has, shall we say, laid Brexit low, when the reality, the opposite is true. There was never really an opportunity of any way, shape, or form of a, quote, good deal. Even if we had sort of left the European Union and remained in the single market customs union, which, again, was what Leave pushed for, there still would have been some economic harm. Not as much as we are experiencing now, but there would have been some. And much of it would have been very, very dampened by us being in the single market and customs union. But of course, as we've said before, it was not good enough for the zealots. The zealots, the hard pushers, those hard Eurosceptics who pushed for Article 50 to be triggered before anyone could really think about what Brexit actually meant and what had been talked about during the referendum. It was they who pushed hard for not only a hard Brexit, but the hardest possible Brexit of all, the WTO Brexit. Let's just leave completely and have, quote, a clean break. And as a result, Euroscepticism, I think, and when the whole tally of this comes up, you are seeing a steadily turn of Brexit has not worked. And at the moment, they are trying to find scapegoats. So the current scapegoat is, oh, it's Johnson's deal. But sooner or later, you have to have that realization of it wasn't just the deal, it was just the whole idea and concept of Brexit just didn't work. And that is where we need to get people to move to. And to be honest, depending where they are on that journey, if they are at, Johnson's deal was bad, that's why Brexit is failing, perfect. We can move them on to the next stage, which was, oh, actually, Brexit was just a bad idea. Because when you've got the former editor saying that, or at least the current editor saying, actually, Brexit isn't working, it's not bringing the promises that we said it would, that we cheerleaded for, even they know and realize the gig may or sooner or later be coming to an end. And that just like the Iraq War, where it was really popular, and according to all the opinion polls, you could have gone out onto the street and found someone in favor. I think it was 6 years after, even again, according to all the opinion polls of you should be able to go out and find someone who was in favor of the Iraq War, you couldn't find anyone who was in favor. And I think that is the direction where we are heading in for Brexit. So, as always, please do remember to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. And of course, down below, there are links to my Patreon page and a one-donation link called Buy Me Coffee, where you can buy me coffee. And as always, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you all